We impact the media impacts us. This is a story about how the media had an impact on me. So this happened when I was about in first grade. My parents were having a barbecue, and it was with a bunch of people I didn't know, so I just stayed inside and watched my favorite cartoon show, The Real Ghostbusters. I looked outside and saw my dad was having a beer. We didn't usually keep beer around the house unless we had company over, and I didn't exactly know what it was. I just knew it was a grown-up drink. Well, I was 6 years old. I was practically an adult, so I went outside and I asked if I could have a sip of it. I could tell my dad's friends were giving him kind of a funny look, almost as if they were daring him to do it. My dad didn't really have any concerns because he knew if I tried it, I would hate it. So he gave me a sip, and just as he thought, I hated it. But maybe that's because it was Budweiser. Unbeknownst to us, my mom was watching out of the corner of her eye. When I was in bed that night, through the walls, I could hear them arguing. My mom was furious that Dad gave me a sip of Budweiser beer, which at the time, I didn't even know that's what it was called. She said we had to protect me from the evils of alcohol, so never bring it up, never mention it, and definitely never give me a sip of it. I kind of forgot about the event for a while, and then I discovered that The Real Ghostbusters was a movie. A live-action movie! Now, to give you some context, the Real Ghostbuster cartoon was a huge hit. Kids were all over it. They loved the toys, they loved the show, and a lot of us didn't even know it was a movie for a time. And it was live action, which to us meant it was more adult. I had to see this movie. And surprisingly, with my mom being so protective, she didn't mind that we saw this. She was a little odd. She didn't like us hearing bad words or seeing people drink, but when we went to see Naked Gun 2, she totally didn't mind that there's a scene in a sex shop because she was like, they don't know what it is. Her inconsistencies usually worked to my 6-year-old benefit. So I asked if I could see the movie, and my mother agreed as long as her or dad watched it with us, because, it could get scary. Well, we're watching it and loving it, and then there's a scene right after they get kicked out of the university. They're having a sip of alcohol. I, of course, ask, what are they drinking? No doubt my dad thought back to the conversation he had with my mom. He couldn't even say the word alcohol without getting in trouble now. So he told me, that's the magic juice that turns them into Ghostbusters. And I swear to God, if you watch this movie with that mindset, it checks out. Peter offers Ray the drink. Ray takes a sip. Suddenly he's talking in this high-tech science babble. Then Peter takes a drink, and suddenly they're off to get the Ghostbuster location. After that, they're shooting the commercial, they're putting the sign on the building, more ghosts are appearing, they're getting the proton packs, they're going to their first job. Even though my dad just made up this lie on the spot, it bizarrely connected. He of course explained nothing about the smoking, blowjobs, and relevance of Keymaster and Gatekeeper, because like my mom said, we didn't know what it was and didn't ask about it. After finishing the movie, I went to all my friends explaining about this live-action Ghostbuster movie, and it was so cool! Now keep in mind at the time I went to a Catholic school, so a lot of kids weren't allowed to see things like The Simpsons, and definitely not a PG-rated movie, oh no! But there was kind of this kid code where if you can make it over to some other kid's house and just happen to see it there, hey, it's not your fault you saw something you weren't supposed to see. So we invited a big group of friends over and we all watched Ghostbusters. And sure enough, when it got to that scene, I bragged that I knew that they were drinking the magic Ghostbuster juice. And once again, they all believed it. So much so that one kid may have taken it a little too far. You see, a couple days later, my teacher wanted to talk to me. And I suddenly found myself in the principal's office. One of my friends who saw the movie was there, I'll just call him Josh for now. And he had his head down like he did something wrong, but his eyebrows up like he was in total confusion. This was a weird talk, because I think they were checking out whether or not this was worth calling my parents about. But what was it even that they were going to call my parents about? Well, the teacher explained to me that Josh thought his father's whiskey was magic Ghostbuster juice. And that apparently I was the one that told him that. Josh said the bottle looked exactly like the one that was in the Ghostbusters movie, so he thought it was the magic juice and he would be a Ghostbuster. When I explained to him that's what I was told in the Ghostbuster movie, I think they finally started to put 2 and 2 together. My teacher had a little bit of a smirk and just told us to go back and play. I was so terrified that maybe they were going to call my parents about this. Like I was going to go home and they were going to be yelling at me like, oh my god, I revealed the secret of the Ghostbuster juice. Nobody is supposed to know about the Ghostbuster juice. The whole day I had my head down trembling. What was going to happen to me? What was going to happen to Josh? What was going to happen to Ghostbusters? Did I ruin Ghostbusters? I came home slowly opening the door, afraid to see my folks. And as far as they let on, nothing happened. Sometimes a call from the school would come later, so I kept dreading the rest of the day, like every phone call I was waiting to hear, he did what? But it never happened. I think my teacher and Josh's parents knew this was just an innocent mistake and shouldn't be focused on. When things calmed down in my 6-year-old mind, I did go to Josh and I asked, "So, did you become a Ghostbuster?" He said, "No, my dad was just afraid I was gonna get drunk." There's 2 things I learned from this experience. One is that somebody has to make a movie theory that's magic Ghostbuster juice, because it totally works. And the other is, in my mom's attempts to keep so many dangerous terms out of my memory, I learned alcohol, beer, whiskey, and drunk, all in her attempts to keep me from knowing them. So while I never did get my magic Ghostbuster juice, I did at least get kind of a funny story. Thanks for watching, everybody. I have a ton of stories about how the media has affected me in strange, funny little ways. Let me know in the comments if you want to hear more. Also, feel free to share any funny stories about how the media impacted you.